traveled some 82 countries.
Flew some 3 million miles. Always rode in the cockpit in the jump seat as a non-revenue pilot. Always rode on every one but Pan Am, so that no one would ask me, where are you based, and so forth.
Didn't any of the pilots say, hey, what do you think of the new LORAN system or the DME or...
Well, when I first started, I was in LaGuardia Airport sitting in a restaurant, and I'd only had the uniform a couple of days, and a TWA pilot walked in and said, how you doing? Said hello, and he said, what kind of equipment are you on? And I thought, well, equipment, I didn't know what to say, so I said, General Electric. And he said, oh, and he walked out. So I quickly found out what equipment meant, what type of aircraft.
What kind of aircraft you flying? What did he think, you were flying a washer or something?
I don't know.
General Electric, I think, did make the engines, you know. You might as well, of course, I'm referring to the power plant, and I would... you know, if you really look like you belong somewhere, it's true, isn't it? And you have a feeling of authority, people will almost accept you any place if you do it directly head on.
True. Very true.
I've done that when I had a friend in the hospital. I wanted to see them.
Pretend to be a doctor?
Put on jacket, tie, or dress as doctors. I know several.
Sure.
Well, dress like Marshall Grove, we both know.
Yeah, people don't
and
stop to think of it.
Walk quickly. Don't have to carry anything, and people who kind of recognize me have said, oh, good morning, doctor. I said, good morning. Sit down.
We'll be back here at this school for scandal in just a moment. Stay with us. Talking with Frank Abagnale about some of his former exploits. Most of the cons you had, or the flim-flam games, were against corporations like airlines and so forth. Did you ever work on individuals as a con type of thing?
Only once. I was in Miami, and I was posing as a wealthy stockbroker, which was a front for passing checks, and I had rented a Rolls-Royce with a chauffeur. I was about 18 at the time. And I was staying at the Fontainebleau Hotel for about $500 a day, had a penthouse, and all of this was a front for me. And I met a city councilman in Miami, and he was very impressed, thought I was about 32, very wealthy, and he invited me to a party they were giving for the mayor of Miami at the mayor's home. And while I was there, I ran into a gorgeous model, a well-known model at that time, and one of the guests came over and said, kind of have to watch her. He said, if you were thinking about taking her back to your room this evening, it would cost you a great deal of money, so watch yourself.
A lady's evening. Yeah.
Right, so when I got talking with her, I said, how much would it cost me to take you back to my room for the rest of the evening? And she said, well, how much do you think I'm worth? Being 18, I had no idea how much she was worth, but
about $50.
But I offered $300, and she said, no, that's
I'd go back to your room with you for $300.
She said that's a little bit too low, so I said, okay, well, what if I doubled it and made it 600? And she said, well, that's a little more like it. I said, I'll tell you what, we'll be here all night. I tell you what, why don't you just take me back to your hotel room for 2 hours, and I'll pay you $1,000 in cash in advance. She said, let's go. So we went back to her hotel, and she was opening her door, and I said, now, I'll be right back. She said, wait a minute, where are you going? I said, well, I don't carry $1,000 on me. I'm going downstairs in the lobby, cash a check, I'll be right back. She said, this hotel isn't going to cash a check at this hour of the morning for $1,000. I said, first of all, I own 35% of this hotel. Never been in it in my life, of course. And I said, this is a cashier's certified check. I said, just like gold, they'll cash it. She said, let me see. This is a cashier's check. Why don't you just make it out to me? I said, are you crazy? I said, this check is for $1,400. We already agreed on $1,000. So she gave me 400 change, and that's what it cost me.
Double jeopardy.
No, that's what's known as hooking the hooker.
When did the check? Did you spend time?
I was
This
eventually...
sounds kind of glamorous, but come on, this is illegal and it's a crime.
Okay, really, I think being quite honest about it, people say it must have been very glamorous, but to me it was kind of very lonely, despairing life, constantly being on the run all the time for 5 years. I was eventually caught in a little town in southern France when a stewardess